Hello and welcome to the Netflix month in review. It's January, and in December, Nate and I watched a ridiculous amount of television as an escape and as a recovery. We did the epic road trip back to Florida to see my family, and when we got back, I was done. And so we set up on the couch back here in the other room, and we didn't move for 2 days, except for him to go get takeout a couple of times. I didn't move. He moved. So here we go. Netflix month in review. Everyone say hi to Inka. Hi, Inka. So, first of all, the lighting today is out of control because there's so much snow outside. It's just blinding. But this is my new mug. And it says, "There's nothing more dangerous than a woman who has no fucks left to give." It's my quote. It's not really my quote, but it's something that I've posted a few times now. So I turned it into a mug that I get to drink coffee out of now. But to the subject at hand. What were we watching on Netflix this month? What was good? What was bad? And okay, not all of it's on Netflix technically, but I will tell you which ones are on Netflix and which ones are not. To kick things off on our epic 2-day watching spree on the couch, we had to finish Broadchurch. We've been watching Broadchurch with David Tennant. It's from the UK. And so we finally got it over here. The last season, I think it was season 3. There's only 3 seasons. And it was their last season. And I was very hopeful. The first season of Broadchurch is one of my favorite serialized episode arcs anyone's ever done. It's a murder mystery kind of thing that takes place in a small town, and David Tennant's this really grouchy, grumpy detective, and it's the dynamics of the two main characters, and I don't remember the actress's name who plays the good cop, so to speak. They are fantastic together. I've seen her in a few other things since then, and she's fantastic. She's one of my favorite actresses. I should really learn her name. Bad. But we enjoyed, so Broadchurch season 1, phenomenal. Broadchurch series 2, different than I expected. It went in a little bit different direction than I expected. Still thoroughly enjoyable. Yes, please, let's watch the next episode. Series 3, awesome again. I really loved it. It was very intense. It deals with rape, and so the first 10 minutes are intense. They are so well done, though. Beautifully done. Nate was in tears watching it, so it's very beautifully done. And the whole season deals with how the town is affected by this event, and we get our classic whodunit and the red herrings and the this way and that way, and it's a great series. And so we had to finish that up so that we could get to our favorite Peaky Blinders. It was back unexpectedly fast for us over here in the US. It is one of my favorite shows. I kind of binged it and Sons of Anarchy when I was writing Tempt, so there are definitely elements of that woven into the book. Season 1 of Peaky Blinders is one of my other all-time favorite story arcs all in one season, and the cinematography and the music and everything, the way season 1 in particular of Peaky Blinders was shot was just so good. And the storylines for the female characters and for the romance, I think there are a lot of romance writers who watched season 1 and went, "Oh, this is so good," and then they kind of ruined it in the next couple of seasons. But I will have to commend them, because in any good story, you build things up and you break them down and you make the people watching or reading really angry, and then you put it all back together again. And this last season was really good. It was really, 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 really good. Like, I'm gonna go rewatch it as soon as I get a break in my writing, because a lot happened. A lot of it was back to the way that it was in season 1, and it was just so much fun to watch. So if you're into gangsters who are bad, but you want to root for, you have to be watching Peaky Blinders, especially Cillian Murphy. Oh, dear God, that man is beautiful. And Tom Hardy's in it, unexpectedly so, and he plays an insane character, and all of them, all of the female characters. I love every single one of them. They're all lovely and brilliant, especially back in their rare form in this latest season. And then, because, oh, that's right, we tried to watch Gunpowder. I didn't put that on my list because we didn't finish watching Gunpowder. It has, Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, and it's historical, and we thought, hey, we have HBO. This is not a Netflix one, this is an HBO one, and we have our HBO subscription through Amazon still from binging Game of Thrones, and so we're like, hey, let's check it out. It's got Kit Harington. And I later looked this up, and this review in particular was spot on because it's historical, it's violent. Was that it? And then there's Kit Harington. And you have to want to watch it in that order because Kit's there, but he's not really that. It's very historical. It is very informational. It is very slow. And while I do like a good historical from time to time, see The Crown, which is, I don't know, just more dramatic than historical, I guess you could say, which is fun to binge watch. This was just historical. I felt like I was watching the History Channel, and it not in the great way. It was not exciting. It was not action adventure. It was not action packed. It was slow. So we ended up actually not finishing it and switching over to Knightfall, which the guy who's playing Guy Fawkes in Gunpowder is the main knight in Knightfall, and it's much more interesting. It's super campy, and it is actually. Is it the History Channel? I don't know. It is another paid channel. You can watch the episodes online. But Nate was super anxious to see what happened, so we bought the season on Amazon. And we still have to watch the last couple of episodes. But it's the Knights Templar, and it is how they went down. And they've thrown in. There's a lot of historical, but it's mostly a dramatic reimagining of what may or may not have happened. And it's juicy and campy and fun. And so if you're into I kind of thought of it as the Henry VIII show on HBO that I can't remember the name of right now. It was kind of like that, where it's like, it is historical-ish, but it's mostly dramatic retelling in fun and interesting ways. So that was fun. We also paid on Amazon to watch Home Again with Reese Witherspoon, and that's a rom-com, sort of, because it's not really a happily ever after, it's just a happy ending. It's a nice ending. It was a fun, campy, I describe it as just ridiculous enough that you have a good time, but not so ridiculous that you're like, that could never, ever, ever happen. But it's right there. It's right there on that line. So it's a close one. In the end, I enjoyed it. If it were on again, I would watch it again. I don't know that I would buy it and keep it, but it was I needed to just have a good laugh, sit back and watch it, and so it was good. And it was Reese Witherspoon and Candice Bergen. I love those two together because Sweet Home Alabama. It's nice to see them together again. Other things that we watched in the movie spectrum this month were The Kingsman: The Golden Circle. If you watch the first Kingsman, then you'll like this Kingsman. If you're not into completely over-the-top ridiculous spy movies, you probably won't like it. But if you're into completely over-the-top ridiculous spy movies, it's a lot of fun. We also, and I say we loosely, watched American Assassin with Michael Keaton. And I watched the first 15 minutes before I fell asleep on the couch. Nate watched the whole thing, though. But after about 15 or 20 minutes, I may have been awake 20 minutes. After about 20 minutes, I was fairly certain we have some of the books in the series. I flipped through it. I got a feel for what it's pretty genre spot on. And I had a feeling from watching the first 20 minutes of the movie that I had a good idea how the movie was going to go. And since I was tired, I went to sleep. And I got a nice head rub in the process because Nate was all into the movie and he was just rubbing my head while I was asleep. And so he enjoyed it. It was right up his alley. Again, very predictable. So if you're into that, cool. We also watched Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron, and that's just fun. That's just kick butt fun. Kind of like Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Ridiculous, over the top, fun. And then finally, the unexpected one. I was really looking forward to watching The Dark Tower in the theater, but we just couldn't get to the theater, which in a strange way ended up being a good thing because we turned it on and the kids came downstairs and said, "What are you watching?" It's The Dark Tower. It's kind of a sci-fi western thing. And they were like, "Hey, Idris Elba, we know him. Can we watch it?" And we were check the rating. I think it was PG-13. And both of our kids are they're bookworms and fairly intellectual, and they love sci-fi. And as long as they know it's completely off the top, ridiculous, they can watch just about anything because they have that ability to break it from reality. And we were like, it's sci-fi, so you know it's not real. If you want to watch it, you can. And the next thing we know, the movie was over, and all four of us had sat there the whole time watching the movie. Even our youngest, who I thought for sure was going to get up halfway through and be like, "This is boring." But no, all four of us sat and watched and enjoyed The Dark Tower. It was, it's Stephen King. It's thinky, it's sci-fi. It was definitely interesting, and Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba sold me on it, and I would watch more in a heartbeat. I would probably watch it again, actually, one day, but that is so right up my alley. So that is most of what we watched this month. We watched a lot this month. I'm not even going to touch on what I'm watching right now because I'm going to save it for next month's Netflix month in review. I didn't even talk about Star Wars and stuff. We watched all of that this month. We probably don't want to get into Star Wars. That's some heated stuff right there. But we can talk about it online if you really want to. And we'll be back next month with some more fun suggestions and what to avoid.